Hey everyone, it's James from Creators, and today I'm going to show you how to set up and use your Strip Pro. So let's get started. Alright, so first we're going to start off by assembling our grids. So all you got to do is just lay these out in a 2x3 pattern. So we'll do 2 like this, and then just keep moving these grids like so. So for the next part, we have to put the grid adapters into the grid. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these kind of by where this little notch is. Maybe go like a couple grid spaces over and then about 2 up from there. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. So we'll go to this one rib here, go 2 over, and then go 2 up. So I'll set that there. And now I'll go ahead and place one end of the slide bar in here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and compress the spring a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of pull on the grid adapters, which will help keep the slide bar and the grid a little bit better. All right, so now that we have our grids and slide bar set up, we have to set up the ruler and also set the 0 mark so that we can get precise cuts. So all we're going to do for the ruler, it's really simple. So there's these 2 black bushings on the slide bar. So we're just going to slide them both towards me or closest to you when you're doing it. And then we'll take the ruler. So there's inches on one side, and then there's, I believe, centimeters on the other side. So regardless if you're someone who uses metric measurements or these measurements, that's okay. So I have the screw actually pulled back all the way into this slot. So if you loosen this screw here, there's this little kind of lug here that can slide back and forth. So I just kind of actually have it loose when I'm doing this. So all we're doing is we're just going to look at the slide bar, and then we're going to look straight down from the bar and right in front of this black bushing, if that kind of makes sense. And we're just going to insert it right there. So that makes it easy to find the 0 mark and also which grid to have this in, so everything's nice and neat. And when you're going to use the Strip Pro, I'll show you real quick. We'll have just 1 bushing at the end down here, and then that way when it's set up like that, the cutting head's going to stop right before the ruler so you don't damage it. So now what we're going to do, we can leave the Strip Pro cutter handle on here, but we're going to take the oil well and the ruler stabilizer that's included with the Strip Pro, and we're just going to drop this down into the grid. And you want to look at the grid spacing and make sure that everything is even. So if it's back this way, it's not going to be nice and I guess parallel with the grids. The ruler won't be parallel with the grids. So we'll just go and find where that spot is, and then we'll put the ruler stabilizer on the other side. So now this is locked in. One important thing is to not forget to tighten this red screw here, because then that way this ruler is going to be locked in place. So next what we're going to do is we're going to pull the cutter towards us, and there's 2 screws on this cutter. So there's this black screw on one side. That black screw allows the cutter module to move from side to side like that. And then this yellow screw, which you don't want to unscrew unless there's something under it, because there's a spring in here and the cutting head is spring loaded, so it'll shoot out. But this just releases the cutting head. So what we'll do is we'll pull this back, and then I just loosen the black screw, and then I just line the actual cutting head up with that 0 mark, and then retighten that black screw. And I'm lining up the point of the cutting head, or more so the cutting wheel, to that 0 mark, because that's going to give you really precise cuts. So now the black screw is tight and the red screw is tight. This isn't going anywhere, so we're going to get really consistent, precise cuts now. All right, now that we have the 0 mark set up, we're ready to start cutting. One thing you do want to check though is just to make sure that when the cutting head is sitting on your glass, you want to make sure that it's sitting perpendicular to the glass, so at a 90-degree angle. That way you get nice flat edges on your glass. And if you need to adjust that at all, you can just loosen this yellow screw and keep your hand on top of it when you loosen it. That way it doesn't push the cutter way up. And you can kind of adjust that cutting angle to make sure that it's nice and perpendicular to the glass. All right, let's say we want to cut a few 2-inch strips. So since the 0 mark is here, there's actually 2 directions that you can start measuring your glass from. So we can have the glass stop with the edge of the glass here, and that'll be a 2-inch strip, or we can have it stop here and it'll also be a 2-inch strip. So it just depends on what's convenient for you. Included with the Strip Pro is this, which is called an Omni Stop. So what's cool about this is that it can actually rotate however you want, and then you can lock it down in place. So it's good if you're cutting, angled cuts, because you can actually swivel this arm and cut angles with the cutter as well. But what I'm going to use this for right now is actually a backstop for the glass to go up against, so we can get consistent cuts with it. So I'm just going to plug it into the grid kind of near that 2-inch mark. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push down on this so that the Omni Stop can butt up against the ruler. All right, so now we're ready to start scoring once we have our backstop set up. So then that way, when this is locked down, you're going to get nice consistent strips. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of gently pull the glass kind of diagonally into this kind of corner pocket here. So that way it's nice and nested up against here, and I know that I'm going to get the same score every time. So then with my other hand, I'm just going to really gently rest it on this kind of handle here. And you don't want to press so hard to where you see white dust on the glass. That means you're scoring a little too hard. You just want to push down hard enough so that you can hear it score. So what's most important is that you hear the glass scoring. It's okay if you don't see it, you just want to hear it. So I'm just going to bring it right to the edge of the glass, apply a little pressure. You can hear it scoring now. And there we go. So now we'll go ahead and run our score. There we go, we have a nice 2-inch strip. So if you want to save yourself a little bit of time, we sell these things called speed balls, and I'll show you how those work. So these are the speed balls. These are going to really speed up your glass cutting process because your glass won't have to leave the grid in order for you to run your score. So real quick, I'm going to do the same thing. So we'll just slide our glass in, and we'll go ahead and place the cutter on the glass. Do our score. Let me move this out of the way too so that you guys can see. So we're going to bring the score line right over the speed balls and just press on each side of the score, and make sure you're watching. Don't blink because this is going to happen quick. So we're just going to press, and then that runs your score. So the glass doesn't have to leave the grid surface, so we'll just go ahead and cut one more. So same thing, bring it over here. There you go. So it really speeds up your cutting process. And now you can see we have 3 perfectly even strips. So there we go.